Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Give a warm welcome to a funny man with a serious message, my friend Dan Clark.
We connect because I grew up in a family where I didn't feel like I fit in with anybody else. You stand out as independent business owners. You stand out. And I thank God every day that I came from a family with a dad and mom that helped me understand that it's okay to stand out. I was the weird duck in my family. My older brother, he has 7 degrees from major universities. That's sick. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes, business owner, operator, never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. My older sister, Deborah, she graduated from Arizona State University in fashion merchandise and design, so she sells real estate. Very, very successful, never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. Younger brother, Paul, MBA Harvard graduate. So he lives with his beautiful family in the San Francisco, California area. He's a hugely successful investment banker, never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. Then I come into the family, somewhere in between the other children, the only athlete, 6'5", blonde, blue eyes. Can you see my parents in a social setting? So what does your son Dan do? Oh, he talks. We're so proud. And not only did my brother have 7 degrees from major universities, he was valedictorian of his 7 universities. He was valedictorian of his high school, valedictorian of his junior high school, valedictorian of his elementary school. He was valedictorian of the Bloomin' Nursery in the hospital. I was not on the honor roll every time. One time I came home with a report card, had 4 Fs and 1 D on it. My dad's response, son, looks to me like you're spending too much time on one subject. I love my dad because he celebrated my independence. He celebrated that it's okay to take a chance and be you and not sell out to anybody else or any other system. Can you relate? I understand a couple of years ago you decided to introduce nationwide in Nappa this concept of on the right track, get back to basics, become brilliant at the basics, and that's what I'm about. Because one of the things that intrigues me as a former athlete is when you kick back on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday night, and the team that's supposed to win loses, and they, in an interview setting, answer stupid questions with stupid answers. The question is, so what happened? They just lost by 50 points. What happened? And the stupid answer is, well, we just need to get back to basics. I'm like, why did you ever leave them in the first place? Why do you make this so complicated? And as a speaker, all the time I'm on programs with speakers who say that the only thing we can expect that will help us take ourselves to the next level comes from outside of ourselves. Have you heard a speaker say lately, you got to think outside the lines? What if the answers are still in the lines? We don't win the game by running out of bounds. We win the game by staying in bounds and playing by the rules that are already established, right? When you're preparing to take on the next team, you don't get a new playbook that week. You perfect the ones you already have. So with all due respect to anyone who will ever come before me, and one has, the next time you hear someone say you got to think outside the box, will you ask yourself this profound question that is back to basics? What if the answers are still in the box? Most people who come to meetings like this come in search of the new answers. You've been in all these breakout sessions, taking copious notes. I stepped in the back of a couple of the rooms. You want the magic dust. We're all the same. We come in search of the new answers when in reality, don't you think we ought to come in search of the right answers? And the right answers have always been right, or we can't call them right. Asking Jed about what you're about, he gave me one of the most profound statements I've ever heard that I will steal and use in every context for the rest of my life. He said what it really boils down to in business is who throws the box away? Who is the end customer? Why are we gathered here to somehow develop relationships with the person at the end of the day who throws the box away? Thanks for coming, man. I am so sorry, man. I pissed you off, man. Please don't let me offend any of the rest of you. The person who throws the box away matters the most. So let's connect the dots and back up to right now, today, in this ballroom at the Town & Country Hotel in San Diego, California, to figure out what we can remind ourselves about that will actually impact that guy or that woman who throws the box away, who is impacted by Nappa. As a consumer, you need to know that you have over 200,000 parts in your stores. You need to know that gold oil filters trap 45% more dirt than the other brand. You need to know that your brakes allow me, consumer man, to stop 20 feet shorter in an emergency situation. You need to know that your orbital brand batteries were the first ones to actually capture, trap, store acid in leak-proof cells, which means that they're indestructible. Yeah, I read your website. I understand that you get a 12,000-mile, 12-month warranty, and if I actually use one of your credit cards, it doubles to 24,000 miles, 24 months. That's so cool. Which means I can buy a part in San Diego, and I live by a snowbird ski resort in Utah, and if that part breaks down or something goes wrong, I can actually pull into a Nappa store and have it covered with your warranty. That is so significant that brings you all together. But I want to celebrate in the minutes that I have with you as an individual, so that when we leave here, we understand the importance of each of us stepping it up. Because I've been in a Super Bowl locker room before, right before kickoff, when the silent prayer of every athlete is, please don't let me be the weak link. Please don't let me be the wuss. Don't let me be the one that lets my teammates down. Please don't let them run 95 yards through my 3 feet of real estate to score the winning touchdown and screw the entire team over. Thanks for coming. And my man's coming back. Yes. Yeah. I know you weren't in there combing your hair. Yeah, well, I'd like to start over. You've actually missed some pretty cool stuff. We're here to celebrate the individuals. How cool is it that he left? How cool is it that he came back? Why would somebody walk past the competition to do business with you? And Spencer, I have never been so impressed by a marketing plan, by a sales approach, by an advertising campaign, and how integrated and consolidated it is on the behalf of each of you as independent, individual people, players in this Nappa family. So if I may, I'd like to be your closing speaker to give you the box. I want to build the box. I want to give you the container wherein you can take this 2 days home with you. And actually take what you're going to experience, obviously, not only just in the showroom, but tonight at the beach party, how you can integrate all these relationships and this swapping of cards and this best practices talk that's been going on for 2 days. Give you the container wherein you can take this Nappa family reunion in the Western Group home with you. Not just personally and professionally, but together with the attitude that when the water in the lake goes up, all the boats rise together. In order for me to accomplish that goal, we got to talk about change. Last year I spoke 202 times, all 50 states, 21 countries. Every single time I'm on a conference call like I was with Jet, the conversation is about what you want me to talk about that will make a difference. And at the end of the day, at the end of the call, it's always about change. How many of you are willing to change? How many of you are lying to me? Let's talk. It's against human nature to change. Who are we fooling? Not one of us woke up this morning and says, I think I'm going to be different, did we? Be honest. They say the dog will not move off the nail he is sitting on until the nail starts to hurt enough. Do you agree? So we're not going to change unless we're forced to change, unless something outside of ourselves makes us think, oh my gosh, I better change, right? Let's talk age. Any of you 40? What happens when you hit 40? Your hair falls out? My body's falling apart. I bend over to pull up my socks. I think, what else can I accomplish while I'm way down here? Last night I flew in. I went to bed perfectly healthy. I woke up injured. Does that happen to any of you? All we did was lay there. You wake up, your hips asleep, your foot hurts. Like, hey, I'm just laying here. What's going on? It's called change. And if you want to know the kind of person you're dealing with more quickly than ever before, watch how something outside of us changes our behavior. Talked about the Weather Channel. Let's talk about weather. Weather changes our behavior more quickly than anything. Do you agree? And if you want to know the kind of person you're dealing with, watch how weather affects them to see if they're stable or unstable. This bothers me, how someone lets something outside of themselves change the way they think and behave. And it happens to all of us. I'm sure all of us are guilty at some point. Proof. When someone looks outside and it is snowing, they have a choice. Do they not? I live in Utah. I live by Snowbird Ski Resort in Utah. When it snows in Utah, we ski. Anybody here originally from the South? I know this is the Western group, but anybody here from the South at all? In the back? Where are you from, man? Florida? Anybody out here? Where are you from? Dallas. Yeah. Last year I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, and Dallas, Texas. 3 southern cities. When it snows in the South, you crash your cars. Anybody here from the Midwest originally? Yeah, anybody here from the Midwest? Where are you from, man? Iowa. Chicago, yeah. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. When it snows in the Midwest, you fish. Now, let's talk California. Who are the Californians here? Yeah, be proud. I love your country. This is a great country. I love coming here, man. Last year, I was in Malibu Beach. It's 2,500-foot elevation. It's not too far out of L.A. I was in Malibu Beach last year, 2,500 feet elevation. It snowed in Malibu Beach. No one had ever seen snow before. All the crazies were out on the sidewalk going. They thought it was cocaine from God. They're like, whoa, dude. I believe I'm going to save this stuff. Buy me a new Porsche on the weekend. Yeah. We can't afford to let something outside of ourselves change the way we think and behave, but it happens all day long. So let's dissect and define change once and for all so we can put it behind us, because it's unnatural. We do not want to change. It's against our human nature, so let's define it. Do you agree? The change from the outside in is reactive change and it creates pressure? Oh, no, not again. Oh, no, the interest rates. Oh, no, the economy. Oh, no, what does this happen? Oh, no, September 11th. Oh, no. Change from the outside in is reactive change. It creates pressure. Let's define pressure. Pressure is not something that's naturally there. It's created when you question your own ability. When you know what you can do, there's never any question. Who are we fooling? I can't take it. Yes, you can. So the flip side of outside in change is inside out change. Change from the inside out is proactive change, and it creates power. How does it create power? Because we are in charge. We know that change really does change everything. And so we change before we have to. We change because we know that one moment in time changes everything. We change because no matter what our past has been, we have a spotless future. Do you agree? Let's talk. Do you believe that one moment in time changes everything? Do you really believe that? Let me prove it. I was on the program with Henry Winkler, the Fonzie from Happy Days. He is clearly one of the most amusing gentlemen I've ever met in my lifetime. He decides he wants to take some time off, treat himself to a matinee movie. So he slides in through the side exit door of the theater. As Henry Winkler shuffles himself through the aisle, he finds himself a vacant seat. As Henry Winkler turns to sit down on the chair to look up at the movie screen, the little girl sitting right behind him smiles this giant smile. She points her finger and she slowly says, "Fonzie." Henry Winkler immediately snaps into the Fonzie character from Happy Days. Whoa. And the lady sitting next to the little girl passes out. Henry Winkler milks the moment. Whoa, I thought this only happened on TV drama. Yeah, how cool is this? Whoa. Theater manager comes out, takes care of the woman's needs. She's lying in the aisle. Cold pack on her forehead. She is asked one question. Why did you pass out? She said, "My little girl is autistic." And that is the very first word she has ever spoken in her entire life. We got to believe that we can leave Town and Country Hotel here in San Diego different than we were when we arrived. Not just professionally, but personally. We have to believe that, or I don't think you would have arrived here. I don't think you would have come here. We got to believe. We got to believe that we can think a different way, act a different way, all within our own selves, knowing that we already have what it takes to succeed. All we got to do is hang around with the right people to trigger it. We got to believe, or this is not even worth coming to. Do you agree? Look around just for a moment, as cheesy as that sounds. Get eye contact with one person on your aisle or someplace. And just remember what Jet said, that this is a family. That you in this room are the heart and soul of Nappa. And remember that Spencer said, thank God he got a chance to come to California to the West instead of Columbus, Ohio. I've been in the cold weather, and it's no fun because we're like, oh my gosh. And then you come in some place where you can actually not worry about that outside influence and connect at a deeper level. It really does matter. And I really appreciate the opportunity of coming here as well. What am I getting at? At the end of the day, it's not what you do, it's who you do it with, right? Where are folks here from Mexico? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo está? Bienvenidos. Welcome. It's awesome. At the end of the day, it's not what you do, it's who you do it with. Do you agree? You're small business owners doing business with other small business owners. Are you getting from out behind your desk and making that connection? At the end of the day, even for them, it's not what they do, it's who they do it with. If 70% of your business is wholesale, if 70% of your business really is the little white trucks with the little yellow hats cruising around town, helping everybody else become better than they've ever been, more of who they already are, if that's really your business, even for those people outside of this ballroom, it's not what they do, it's who they do it with. Do you agree? Proof. Any of you have horses? Cool. Any of you ever seen a horse? Do you realize when you put a hard-to-catch horse in the same field with an easy-to-catch horse, most of the time you end up with two hard-to-catch horses? In the human experience, you realize when you put a healthy child in the same room with a sick child, most of the time you end up with two sick children? Yeah, moral of the story, to be great, you have to hang out with the great ones. There's a reason why you went out on a limb and bought a Nappa parts store, not a franchise. You are an independent business owner. Some of you had parents who own stores and they've passed it down. It'll be multi-generational because you'll now pass it on to your siblings. Think about it. Some of you own 1, 2 stores. Some of you own 7, 10. Maybe some of you in here own 20. It doesn't matter. It still boils down to the relationship that we have, each one with another in this room, and more importantly, the relationship you have outside of this room with that independent business owner who's also in the same boat that you're in. And if they know that what you're bringing to them is the attitude that when the water in the lake goes up, both of you rise together, they will understand why they do business with you and want to continue to do so. In order for me to continue to build my case before I actually build the box and give you the 4 cornerstones and then conclude by lip-syncing 3 Ashley Simpson songs, I want to take you into the world of music, which happens to be my favorite all-time endeavor. I love music because it applies to us as individuals. It applies to us in the context of independent business owners. How does that work? Let me prove it. Let me show. Any of you musicians? Cool, what do you do? Guitar, guy next to you? Drums, are you in the same band or are you just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're sitting next to each other? Any creative people on this side of the room? No musicians. If I ask you how many notes are there in music and you don't have a clue, you could revert back to your childhood songs and probably count the do, re, mi stuff, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Most of us would respond, there are 7 notes in music. Contraire, mon frère. How do you say that in Spanish? He's like, blah, 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 blah. There are 12 notes in music, not 7. In the year 1685, a very famous music composer in Western Europe decides he wants more options. He's the guy that put the black keys on the piano. How does that relate to you and to me? Especially as individuals? Easily put. Every single song that has ever been written in any language was written with the same 12 notes. Do you know this? The only difference between one song and another song is the order in which those 12 notes fall and the timing and spacing in between the notes. I wish I had a boombox up here. I could put on a magnificent display from the world of music to make my point. We could play a Rachmaninoff piano concerto using all 88 keys on the piano. We could play a little Wynton Marsalis smooth jazz. I'm a guitar player. We could play a little rhythm and blues, a little Stevie Ray Vaughan, a little B.B. King. We could play a country ballad like My Wife Ran Off with My Best Friend and I'm Going to Miss Him Dearly. Are any of you into country music? I'm a BMG songwriter. I go to Nashville every 5 weeks. My best concoction so far in country music, had I shot you when I met you, I'd be out of jail by now. Could be a hit. Every single song written in any language was written with the exact same 12 notes. How does that relate to you as independent business owners? The question is, what's the difference between a hit songwriter and a lousy songwriter? They have access to the same 12 notes. What's the difference between a great banker and a lousy banker? They have access to the same interest rates and the same economy. Do you realize I drive 45 minutes one way to bank? And never once have I ever asked what the interest rates are on my loans. If price becomes the issue, it means the presentation is weak and the relationship sucks. Can I say sucks? It's not about money, it's not about price, it's about who we do it with. It's about giving me a reason to do business with you. Let's get back to basics. Everywhere I go, I'm trying to find somebody who thinks like we think. And it's tough to find someone who doesn't think outside the lines. They don't think outside the box. They look inside and say, how can I become more of who I already am? It's tough to find them. The other day I found one on an airplane. I don't know how many of you flew here. Tough to drive here from Hawaii. Last time you got on an airplane, did you really listen to the pre-flight safety demonstration put on by the little video or the flight attendants? Let's be honest. Do we really need to know how to put on our seatbelts? Give me a tissue. And yet they keep cramming it down our throats. They're the same, and we know they're the same, so we tune them out. Are you the same? Are you the same as you were last month or last year? With all due respect, I was on the program the other day up in Vail, Colorado with a guy who climbed Mount Everest in 1982. Cool slides. I'm back there thinking, what have you done lately, Bubba? Come on, man. That's 82. When your horse dies, dismount. If you're the same, nobody listens. The other day, I finally get on an airplane. My gosh, these flight attendants have driven me crazy for all these years. It's the same thing. In the event of a decrease in cabin pressure, an oxygen mask will appear. Reach up and talk on the Gold Club. I'm like, somebody throw their shoe at the video. And then the flight attendants stand up and they say, we're here for your safety. No, they're not. I survived a plane crash. U.S. Airways, Stanton, Virginia, Shenandoah Valley Airport. When you're going down, you want a drink. They're not here for our safety. This kills me. Put your seat up to the most upright and uncomfortable position. Yeah, right, like that matters. Alive, dead. Alive, dead. Alive, dead. What happens when you get a plane and the flight attendant isn't thinking outside the box? He or she is looking inside and becoming more of who they already are. Do we recognize and celebrate this inside-out change? Oh, yeah. Delta Airlines, we're coming into Dallas, Texas. Huge turbulence. We're bouncing all over the sky. We finally land. We bounce, we land. We bounce, we land. Taxi into the gate. Flight attendant comes over the PA system. Hi. Welcome to Dallas, Texas. If you enjoyed your flight, tell your friends you flew Delta Airlines. If you did not enjoy your flight, tell your friends you flew Southwest. Everybody on the plane goes, huh? And obviously she had a great relationship with leadership because she then says, and please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened while Captain Kangaroo bounces us the rest of the way to the gate. That's funny. And is this inside-out change contagious? Oh, yeah. Elderly woman walking in the aisle right behind me with her cane. Comes to the doorway. You the pilot? Yes, ma'am. Did we really land or did we get shot down? So the question is still on the table. What's the difference between a hit songwriter and a lousy songwriter? What's the difference between a great Nappa independent business owner, a great Nappa store owner, and an average one? The answers are all the same. What's the difference between a great parent and a lousy parent? Any of you have teenagers? Those years where it's all we can do to let our parents live at our house. Are you having this experience? Trying to introduce a word like curfew to our teenagers? They don't get it. Come on, Mom, lighten up. You want me home by midnight? My friends get to stay out till Saturday. Are you having these conversations? Anybody can parent a perfect kid? What happens when your kid comes home half his head shaved, carburetor stuck in his nose? 22 earrings over here, miniature towel rack over here. He looks like he fell down the stairs with a tackle box. Don't you think you ought to say something? Johnny, I'm sorry you got mugged with that staple gun. Can we talk on Friday? What's the difference between a great store owner and a lousy store owner? What's the difference between a hit songwriter and a lousy songwriter? Passion, creativity, and imagination. The answers are already inside of us. All we have to do is hang around with the right people and tie into the right brand, the right loyalty, the right package behind us to back up every part, and together rise. Wow. If you buy into this, I can build the box. I can give you the container wherein you can take this 2-day Western group meeting, jet the stud muffin hunk of burning love in charge, and do something with it. Do something with it. Take what is there and do something with it. Brad Schaefer's like, yeah, they should have used a Ford truck before they changed it into something really cool for this little display. Not a Chevy S10. They should take a Ford truck just to let Schaefer sleep better at night. Yes, they could have, but they didn't. So let's just take who we are and become the best that we can be. If I'm going too fast, just raise your hand. 4 cornerstone box. Cornerstone number 1, you got to believe in the power of stretch. Now we've changed the word change to stretch because all of us can do that, right? In fact, you've been sitting here for so long, it would be good if somebody said, why don't you stand up and kind of wiggle and stretch? We all like to stretch. We all can stretch, and that's the cornerstone number 1, stretch. To illustrate, I snapped my Achilles tendon playing basketball with the guys on my street trying to be 20 years old again. Gentleman who operated on my ankle, his name is Dr. Jim Morgan. He was actually playing in the game. He denies it. But I believe with all of my heart that he came up from behind me in the game and said, I need a new boat, and he pushed me down. He surgically reattached my Achilles tendon, put in a plaster cast for 3.5 months. I got the cast off, immediately placed into physical therapy. Any of you ever been in physical therapy? Physical therapy teaches us 2 things that are relevant to any meeting, especially this one. Especially if you're on the right track. Off track seems outside the box. On the right track seems like, wow, you're going in the right direction. Wow, let's just check it out. 2 things we learned from physical therapy. Number 1, I go into the physical therapist's office, he warms up my ankle. Then he takes the tip of my foot and he bends it and stretches it to a place it's never ever been before. And as I'm sitting there hanging on with visions of sugar plums pinballing around in my head, he lets go. And it flips back into the exact same spot it was in before he started to stretch me. Wouldn't that be a complete waste of your time, of your money, of your life that you'll never ever relive again? If we as speakers and presenters do everything we know how to do to stretch you intellectually and emotionally, and you just leave the town and country hotel here, go back home and flip on back into the exact same spot you're in before you arrived here. You realize most of the time that's what happens in meetings, and that's why we discount the power of meetings. I don't need to go to that. I don't want to spend the expense. I don't want to be out of my store that long. We discount meetings because nothing ever happens of substantial length or duration. Do you agree? That's why we discount speakers. Any of you ever heard a quote motivational speaker speak before? Yeah, don't get so excited. He's like, yeah, I got all the tapes. Go on. And actually, he's looking at me like, if you spit on me one more time, I'm going to rip your lips off. I don't want to be a motivational speaker. They're always shallow. They show up and whip off their little speeches. They say stupid things like, we become what we think about. That's not true. If that was true, I would have been a woman by the time I was 12 years old. I want to be an inspirational speaker because in my mind, that word inspiration seems to indicate that the message will outlast the meeting. Duh. Second thing we learned from physical therapy that is definitely relevant to this Nappa family reunion. Talking to Jet on the phone. I'd never met him. I don't know if any of you have ever had any telephone training, but they ask questions like, can they hear you smile? Mr. Coons loves this company. Mr. Coons is so proud of this brand. And Mr. Coons passionately, creatively, and imaginatively helped me as an outsider understand how incredibly important every single one of you is to the entire family. Why? One of us lets down, and they run the 95-yard touchdown through our space, through our store, and it screws over everybody nationwide and down into the southern friends in Mexico. Every one of you matters, and every one of you matters to him. Having never spoken to Mr. Gaylord, everything and every one of you matters to him as well. And I'm trying to suck up to him now so that I get invited to other regions. Second thing we learned from physical therapy that is definitely relevant to you here, you have to stretch before you strengthen. And here's the kicker. All the strengthening occurs in the area past the point of discomfort. I know a lot of superstar athletes. I know a lot of superstar professionals. May I be so bold as to throw myself onto your heap? We have the ability to push ourselves to the point of discomfort all by ourselves. Most of you are proving it to yourself right now. You're looking at me like, wow, if I could just stay awake for one more hour, it could be a good day. But I know of no one who has the ability to push themselves into the area past the point of discomfort all by themselves. In order for the Western group to take it to the ultimate level, not just the next level, the ultimate level, and even though you've had a solid year, it's still kind of a soft year. In order for you to really understand how to get from behind your desk and connect with that other independent business owner, man to man, man to woman, woman to woman, heart to heart, family to family, we need to know that we're not alone, that together we rise. Cornerstone number 2, so how do we do this? How do we stretch? Is it through technology? Is it through programs? Is it through advertising? All of those are important, obviously. Is any one part of this advertising package that Spence talked about, is any one more important than the other? No, and he pointed that out. This is just one of the pieces of the puzzle, as he said. How do we stretch? It can't be through programs and technology until it's about people. What if we allow technology to completely overrun us and you go to your doctor's office tomorrow and there's no human being? All you get is a recording. If your pain's below the waist, press 1. Is that where we're headed? What if you're Catholic and they put the entire confessional system on voicemail? 1-800-FESS-UP. If you're into bigamy, press 2. If you're worshiping the devil, press 666. If you're into farm animal noises, push BAAAA. Come on! It's not about technology or programs or advertising until you deliver first as a person. It's about people. To illustrate and answer cornerstone number 2, simply, the answer is to understand. In sales, the only place from which a person can grow is where he or she is. We have to go where they are physically and emotionally. Only there can we gently invite them to buy. It's unacceptable to say, build it and they will come. Here's the Nappa logo, which is powerful. Here's the Nappa brand, which is powerful. Here's your beautiful store, and if you take the advice of the slide and Jet, yeah, you'll revamp it, throw a little paint on there, do something on the outside. You'll get the integrated store going, $62,500 average sales in an integrated store. You start doing all these little things, yeah, but it still boils down to you doing it. You understanding. To illustrate, as he mentioned in his introduction, one of my stories was made into a film at Paramount Studios starring the late Jack Lemmon. Let me share just a few seconds of history. I wrote this story when I was in junior high school. And I bring that up because you never know when one moment in time and one act in that one moment in time can grow its own legs, and amazing things happen as a result of it. When we presented my little story to Jack Lemmon, unbeknownst to anyone in the world, he was battling a terminal illness that eventually took his life. And the thing I'm most proud of about my little movie is that Jack Lemmon had 2 final pieces of work, 2 final shows that he was involved with before he died. My little movie and Tuesdays with Maury, a television drama series. It illustrates, my story in the movie, illustrates this simple, out-of-the-way, in-the-box answer. Take time to understand. Break down the walls. Communicate. Find out what their children are up to. Go visit the school where the kid is in the school play. And your key customer's looking over going, man, what are you doing here? We heard your son was in the school play. He's a flippin' tree. He's holding a branch. Why did you bring the entire store here? We heard he holds that branch magnificently, and we didn't want to miss it, buddy. Suddenly he's doing more business. Why? You've connected because you've taken time to understand. People will not buy because you understand them. People will buy because they feel understood. A store owner was tacking a nail in a sign above his store which read, "Puppies for sale." Signs like that have a way of attracting small children, and sure enough, a little boy appears at the store owner's side. Instead of me telling you the rest of the story, I thought it'd be fun for you to watch the 2-minute clip. Please pay particular attention to Jack Lemon's eyes, because he validates once and for all that one person in one moment in time, connecting at that heart-to-heart level, that understanding level, can change forever. Yeah, it really does boil down to understanding. If I can ask you to look at the conference screens.
Well, hey there, old-timer. What can I do for you?
How much are you selling the puppies for?
The puppies, we're selling the puppies at anywhere from $25 to $50.
I have $10.37. Can I please look at them?
You want to look at them? Well, sure. Chloe, bring out the brood.
What's wrong with that little puppy?
That little puppy, the vet said he was born without a hip socket. That means he's always going to be slow and he's always going to have a limp.
And that's the puppy you want to buy.
What?
That's the puppy you want to buy.
Well, you don't want to buy that puppy. It's... Look, well, if you really want that puppy, then I'll give him to you.
I don't want you to give him to me. That little puppy right there is worth every little bit as much as all the other puppies in here. Don't pay full price. I can give you $10.37 now and pay $2 a month until I haven't paid for it.
Yeah, but you still don't want to buy that puppy. It's never going to be able to run and jump and play with you like the other puppies.
Well, I don't run so well myself, and the little puppy will need someone who understands and cares for him.
Son, the puppy's yours. $2 a month is fine.
Cornerstone number 3, so why stretch? Why take it to the next level? You're already successful. Some of you a little bit more successful than others. That's just the name of the game. Why stretch? Why take it to the next level? The answer is because you can. You can. Let's go back to music. Any of you into country music? Cool. A few embarrassed hands right here, but proud folks right here. I had my first gold record in country music with a guy by the name of Michael Peterson. We wrote a song called Drink, Swear, Steal, and Lie. I'm an inspirational genius. Teamed up with a guy by the name of Don Schlitz. Great songwriter. He wrote You Say It Best When You Say Nothing at All. He wrote The Gambler for Kenny Rogers. He and I teamed up, put Kenny Rogers back on the charts. We wrote a song, Little Boy in His Baseball Bat Stands in a Field with His Ball and Bat. He says, I'm the greatest. He throws the ball up, swings, misses strike 1, throws the ball up, swings, misses strike 2, throws the ball up, swings, misses strike 3. He's out. What does he say? Man, am I a good pitcher. Great music video. Faith Hill recently recorded one of my tunes called Real Man. Visualize her singing it, not me. She sings, I need a man who knows happily ever after is a day-at-a-time proposition. A man who knows making love is not a 3-minute composition. It's a slow dance full of romance, a walk on the beach in the sand. It's having a whole conversation just by holding my hand. He would stir deep desire that sets me on fire to be with them all that I can. No, I won't settle for anything less than a real man. Chorus. A real man strong in stature, firm in faith, and kisses slow. He sometimes cries, and when we hug, he's the last one to let go. Worshiping the ground I walk on, he's my biggest fan. There's nothing like being loved by a real man. Most of you women are looking at me like, whoo, oh, ah. These ladies right here, they're looking at me like, do you mind if we smoke? Back there, they're like, could you repeat that? Could you repeat that one chorus part, please? And most of you gentlemen are looking at me like, oh, perfect. A couple of you are looking at me like, so Brokeback Mountain, eh? No. No. I was interviewed in country radio in Nashville, Tennessee. They said, how does a linebacker write a song like that? I said it was easy. I made a list of things I wasn't, and I decided I could become them. Not because it's expected by others, but because it's demanded of myself. Each of us in this room can let our past go. We actually can learn the lessons and set a higher personal bar, not because it's expected by Nappa, but because it's demanded of ourselves. Cornerstone number 3, why stretch? Because we can. Can do what? Understand what? We can make a difference. We can actually make everybody else around us better, so when they leave us as internal customers, employees, as fellow owners at this meeting, especially as external customers whom we call on, we can actually make a difference, go where they are physically and emotionally, so that when we leave their space, they actually say, I like me best when I'm with you. I want to see you again. Oh, by the way, can I buy some parts? What I'm alluding to is the ability that each of us possesses to actually build a team and be part of this team. How many of you agree that it's all about team? Wrong answer. It's not all about team. Teams lose, Cleveland Browns. Teams lose, my Oakland Raiders. Teams lose. New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox. Teams lose. The first time St. Louis Cardinals in the last couple of 3 or 4 years went to the World Series, they didn't even show up. Teams lose, right? Whoever said it's not whether you win or lose that counts probably lost. Are there companies going bankrupt right now as we sit in this room? Yeah, they have a team. Who are we fooling? And yet you'll hear speaker after speaker show up and say, there's no I in team. I didn't know it was a spelling bee. You want to play that game? I'll make it a spelling bee. There's no I in team, but teams lose, but there's 2 I's in winning. First I represents independent individual preparation, a commitment to character, confidence, consistency, change, clarity of cause, and chemistry. It's not what you do, it's who you do it with. I want to do business with you. I want to walk past my competition because of you. Wow. And people like to do business with winners. Nappa winner, you winner, together you rise. Oh. First I in winning represents independent individual preparation. Before we can contribute to building a winning team, we got to be the best that we can be so we can best put our best foot forward. Remember, in the locker room, please don't let me be the wuss. Don't let me let my teammates down. Don't let me be the weak link. We got to step it up as an I, as an independent business professional. Second I in winning represents interdependent collaboration, which is a commitment to contribute. So yes, you were right. It is about team. They don't give Super Bowl rings out one at a time. But the teams that win have the greatest number of individual I players on them. Like Jet shared with me, and he continues to do so, every single one of you in this room, spouses included, especially the support mom and dad, husband, wife, team represented here. Every one of you matters just as much as everyone else. Why? We can't afford to be the weak link. Help you understand the difference between a winning organization and a losing organization, first place and last place. Let me just quickly invite you into the National Football League. Let me expose you to something that I see all the time. I've worked with most of the teams in the NFL for about the last 12 and a half years. Let me take you back 9.5 years ago and comparison contrast first place and last place teams so you can better answer one question and one question forevermore. Why are you here? Why did you choose Nappa? Why are you investing your time and your energy and your finances into making it as an independent business professional with Nappa? Why are you here in San Diego? Why are you on earth? Why are you here? Let me take you to the NFL. Anybody here originally from Florida? I know there was one guy. Florida that I'm going to offend? Cool. 9.5 years ago, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the worst team in professional sports. Not just football, basketball, badminton. 9.5 years ago, a good bowling team and the Stanford tuba player could have whipped their entire organization. Walk with me through their headquarters office and equate it to the importance of every single I player with whom you work and every single I player in this room, and just as importantly, every single I Nappa owner outside of this room in other regions in our country and down in Mexico. I walked through the headquarters office door of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 9.5 years ago. They're in last place. They've lost every game. They're a coagulated group of losers. Saddest thing is no one cares. Not even ownership cares. And they have a team. Walk with me through their headquarters office door. Here's the receptionist. My first impression, receptionist sitting behind her counter, chewing her cud. She has on a cool little headset, big cud. I'm standing there in person on hold for 5 minutes while she's talking to her friend Shirley on the telephone. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to get to see my appointment. Maybe I ought to just write down the appointment, write down the address, and show up to the dance, show up to the party. With that little chip on her shoulder, that little attitude like there's so many things I could get accomplished if it wasn't for these blasted interruptions. You know the person I'm talking about? She says, yeah. When I shared with whom I was there to visit, she doesn't get up and give me any personal customer assistance. She doesn't treat me like a human being. She doesn't go where I am physically and emotionally. She basically buzzes me through this little clinical sterile gate. I said, thanks. I walked past her counter. Behind her counter is a table with 4 unmatched chairs around. It looks like a garage sale. When I get into the meeting room, there in the corner of the meeting room is a stack of 4 old Pizza Hut pizza boxes, trash all over the floor. And when I interviewed every single one of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football players, in last place, lost every game, and yet they had a team. When I interviewed every single one of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football players and asked them one question, why are you here? Their answer, I'm here to play football. That's it? Yeah. My cholesterol count's higher than my SAT scores. You bite the wall. It's just a job. There's no passion, creativity, and imagination. There's no commitment. There's no loyalty. There's nothing except a paycheck. Do you have loyalty? Are you going where your customers are physically and emotionally? Do they know you really care? You can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to be there. We must be around them off-task time so that when it comes time to making sales, they know we care. Wow. Contrast last place Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the first place team that year, the Dallas Cowboys, in the same season, in the same week. Let me formally, before I was so rudely interrupted, let me formally ask, where are the Cowboy fans in the house? That's cool, man. Now I'm disappointed. You know why? In years past, it didn't matter where I was. I could be in Brazil. I could be in Belgium. When I say, is there a Cowboy fan in the house? You think you're in a cattle drive. They're like, woo! Wow! Not a few of them, they raise their hands. They're looking at me like, you know, if we could just get all the guys out of jail on the same weekend, we could win. Let's talk. Do you know how tough it must be to be a Dallas Cowboy these days? They're all on probation. They can't even huddle up. They can't affiliate with known felons, so they're stuck on the sideline. They're like, stay further away. The frequency on my ankle bracelet's really acting up. We're all going to get arrested here. What's going on? Where do we go this time? But in the 1990s, the Cowboys won 3 Super Bowls. I'm great friends with a lot of those guys from the dynasty teams. They are awesome. Same week, same season. Walk with me through the headquarters office door of first place Dallas Cowboys and equate that experience to the importance of every single one of you in this room. I walk through the headquarters office door of the Dallas Cowboys and everything is glass and brass and crystal and leather and everything's perfectly in its place. Does that stuff matter, the way your store's set up? I go into the showroom, oh my gosh, all these shelves and all these products and all this, oh my gosh. Does the display matter? Does this hotel matter? Yeah, what would happen if Nappa had said, you know, we're going to celebrate your success and we're going to have these breakouts. We're going to help you become more of who you already are. But we're not going to town and country. We're going to meet at the Motel 6 like down in Toadsuck Ferry, Arkansas. And we're all like, okay, I hope that's cool. And then we get there and we're ticked off because everything's screwed down. You can't even pick up the remote. You got to aim it and shoot it at the TV set. You keep missing Frustration grows. Even the pictures are screwed to the wall. This kills me. Why do they think we want to steal pictures of wheat? Does this stuff matter? This is a nice hotel, is it not? You walk around, there's like 95 pools. This is a nice hotel. Towels in my room are so fluffy, I'm having a hard time getting my suitcase closed. Are you finding that? You finding that, baby? This is nice. Walk in their door. They even have their own name. Dallas Cowboys, they even have their own name, Valley Ranch. Do you understand the power of names? Yeah. Can you give me a Kleenex, ma'am? Might not even be a Kleenex tissue. Can you Xerox this for me, please? Might be a Canon copier. I ride a Harley Davidson. I've spoken for Harley many times. Harley Davidson, talk about the power of a name. Talk about the power of a brand. Harley Davidson actually has people who have tattooed their company name on body parts. With all due respect, I've never seen a dude at the mall with like Taco Bell on his bicep. What's up, man? Yeah. Chimichanga, man. Represent. What's up? Yeah. I never understood the importance of names until the O.J. Simpson trial. I just heard the orange growers of Florida offered O.J. Simpson $9 million for him to change his name to Snapple. I thought that was pretty funny. How was I greeted in the Cowboys? The receptionist, total class, sophisticated elegance, polished professional, big giant Dallas hair. I wanted to tap her on the shoulder. Excuse me, ma'am, have you ever found any spiders on the 5th floor of your due? And how was I greeted? Hi. Welcome to the world champion headquarters office of America's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. It's a great day. May I help you? I almost threw up all over the top of that counter. No one is that sweet, no one. And when I shared with whom I was there to visit, she doesn't buzz me through some little clinical sterile gate. She gets up and makes me feel like I'm the single most important person who ever walked in that door. She personally escorts me to the meeting. She introduces me to everybody in every office. By the time we get to the meeting, I felt like we were going steady. She interrupts our meeting 7 times. Would you like a Diet Coke, a Diet Pepsi, a Reebok, a Nike? They're selling everything they can get their hands on in that stadium just to subsidize Deion Sanders' former contract. And when I interviewed every single one of the Dallas Cowboys football players and asked them the exact same question, why are you here? They got this internal bold intensity, seemed to ooze from every pore. They seemed to stand a little taller, a little straighter. They got right in my face and they said, we're here to win the Super Bowl. Now let me pay tribute to the brave fans who raised their hands. Who's the Dallas Cowboy fans? You know why they're still raising their hands? Because to the Dallas Cowboys organization, anything shy of the Super Bowl is unacceptable. They are in it to win it all. I've shopped many, many times in Nappa stores. I understand that when I don't understand, the people in the Nappa store will. Thank God. I raced motocross for 3.5 years, and I was pretty hot, and I could take apart my bike, and I could put it back together again and have a few cool screws left over, and I had no clue where they went, but my bike still ran fast. And I'm an old school guy, I'm sorry. I open up the hood of a car now, and I want to see the meat and potatoes, and if I can't see the carburetor, I'm completely lost. This fuel injection has got me baffled. But you all know, and so I don't have to. I just trust the name and then trust the people inside the name, and together we rise. Nappa is here to win the Super Bowl. And as an ex-player, I want you to know something. It's not who you play for. It's who you play with. And once we establish that feeling, it becomes who we play for. And the reasons why are obvious. Cornerstone number 4, so when do you stretch? Right now. I have so many stories pinballing around in my head. I'm aware of the time. Let me just make it short and conclude. And I need to make it short because when is the most significant thing we could talk about in the 4 cornerstones of the box. Why? Because it's against human nature to change and stretch. We better do it right now before we even exit and go into the beach party. We better do it right now. Why? Because all of our loved ones and coworkers who are outside of this ballroom, who did not hear what you've heard for 2 days, who did not feel what you've felt for 2 days, not one of them is going to want you to be any different when you get back in their space. Which means that they must also change and stretch, and because it's against human nature, they don't want to, so they don't want you to either. So are you just going to flip on back and let them drag you down to the position you were before? Or are you going to have the strength in numbers to keep that stretch alive and reach down and bring other people up to your now higher ground? To set the example to all the other regions of Nappa across our country and down in Mexico, to do what we can do to never, ever be the weak link. When to stretch, it has to be right now. Proof, I was invited to speak at my old high school. Is that at the top of your dream list? And I was intimidated and flattered all at the same time. I'm introduced, I walk out on my high school stage, huge auditorium, and I immediately get eye contact with some of the faculty members who had been teachers when I was a student. You should have seen their faces. Oh, no. Who let him back in here? Those 3 years he was a junior almost killed us all. And in the first 90 seconds of my speech, I had to convince every single one of them that Dan Clark was no longer around. I don't think like I did when I was 18, do you? I don't act like I did when I was 18, do you? I certainly don't look like I did when I was 18. When I was in high school, I was so skinny I had to jump around in the shower to get wet. And yet they expected me to be the exact same person I was the last time I was in their space. Let's not let that happen. You're only a phone call away, a card away. Keep in touch. Stretch together and you rise. Powerful branding of Nappa. The powerful people of Nappa. And all we got to do is make sure that we understand at the end of the day, the answers are inside of us. We don't need to know another thing. We don't need another habit, do we? 7 habits, I read that, Covey, 7 habits. I get 4 of the 7 down. Now I find out there's another one. Writes the 8th habit. I emailed him, calm down. So the conclusion has to be just one simple word, support. I didn't teach you anything, did I? Nobody took copious notes. Some of you are thinking about stealing your towels. What could the 30-second vignette be that would actually conclude our time together and, with all due respect, tie a little bow around your entire 2-day dog and pony show? It's a simple, simple story that just reminds us about the friendship and support that you have one for another. Without embarrassing too many folks in the audience, as I've stood up here, I wish you could have been here with me. I start quoting the words of Real Man and this couple right here. She kind of snuggles up to him. She's looking at him like, yeah, you are a real man. He was looking at her like, you got that right. And to be up here interacting with strangers, one of the studs in the room, whatever you are, what's your name, man? Where are you from? Cottonwood, Arizona. And he and I have connected because when I say something profound, at least in my mind, he goes, yeah. He's like, you got that right. That's what it's about, isn't it? It's about support. 30-second vignette in my close. A mother encourages her daughter to come home as soon as school is over. The time comes, the time goes. 30 minutes late, her daughter walks in through the front door of her home and her mother scolds her. Where have you been? I've been worried sick. She says, oh, Mommy, I walked my friend Sally home. She dropped her doll on the sidewalk. It broke all to pieces. It was awful. Her mother said, so you're late because you stayed to help your friend pick up the pieces of the doll and put it back together again? She said, oh, no, Mommy, I didn't know how to fix the doll. I just stayed to help her cry. You make me feel like that kind of support is coming from you. I will walk in your store. I'll drive miles. My room is so far away at this hotel, I almost wanted to make an apology, and I got up here and said, sorry, my clothes have gone out of style just since I left my room. People will drive long distances to do business just with you because they feel understood and they know of your support. That's what it's about. The answers are already inside of us. All we got to do is remind each other that the Nappa way is the best way and the right way. And in auto parts, we must make it the only way. And if we do, guaranteed, we are on the right track. God bless you. Thanks for having me. All have a great day.